Now, you have two questions. You again have strawman my point, right? I literally said it was neither valid nor invalid because it's oral. It's not written, but you can still practice it because it's given in oral tradition. I never made the claim that the apostles somehow commanded it.
Okay, you done?
Now speak.
Okay, so hopefully your boys don't interrupt. Okay, so you're saying we don't have. I don't think you understand. It's one thing to discuss the degree of certainty, and one thing to establish whether there is even a possibility of demonstrating that this is something that can be traced back. Okay, the example that I gave. If I say something to, let's say I tell Joster 1 + 1 is 2, right? Let's say I convey this to Joster. Joster conveys this to Ashraf. Ashraf conveys this to Jihadist. Okay. Now, when Jihadist is telling you this, right? Now, in order for you to be actually certain, you can look at the people that he could be mentioning, who transmitted down to him. And if you are, let's say if you can establish that these individuals in the transmission were credible, they were not known as liars, they were truthful people, then you can trust to a degree what is being transmitted to you. So that's one thing. To be able to demonstrate it at all to begin with, that this is something that can be traced back to Elijah. Okay. Now, what you're doing is you're saying, oh, because we can never have 100% certainty, therefore the very demonstration is false. That's ignorance. If you had read basic, this is why I think I would recommend Christians definitely to read into Ilm al-Hadith. Okay, it will teach you the basics, and you don't need to be an expert. Just like me, I'm not an expert. So you are confusing, right, the fact that it is possible to demonstrate at all to begin with something that can be traced back to Elijah. But as for the amount of certainty that it offers, that's a separate topic. So tell me the oral transmission example that I gave from Elijah to Joseph to Ashraf, Ashraf to Jihadist, and Jihadist to you. Okay, does it offer you the option to investigate whether it is to begin with at all traceable back to Elijah?
Okay,
Yes or
that's
no?
again an argument from silence, correct? Because
What is your argument from silence?
okay, stop. Okay, argument for silence is making a argument based on nothing, right? So you made an argument based on nothing. You said, okay, well, just because we can generally trust what Ashraf says, therefore we can trust to a certain degree. That's what he says. According to whom? According to your own subjective mind? Sure. However, it's again an argument for
No,
silence.
that's not subjective mind. I'll tell you why. If your dad, right, tell Allah you have one. If your dad, for example, tells something to your mother tells this to your sister, and your sister tells this to you. Now you know, okay, hold on a second. The chain includes everyone who's from my family, and I know them to be credible. I know them to be reliable, trustworthy. Are you gonna say, no, sister? You know what? I'm not gonna trust you because I can never be sure that you know what, sister? Even though these people are known to be trustworthy, right? People that are contemporary to them, I will simply dismiss because it doesn't offer me 100% certainty. That's
Okay.
that's your that's where you're messing up. Now tell me, is that your subjective, just subjective criteria, or is it something that you can trust?
You just use a subjective criteria. Yeah, I would grant you.
Okay, can you trust what your sister's telling you?
Yeah, no, not with absolute certainty. That's why I normally confirm
Okay,
with my by
congratulations, mashallah. Now we're getting there. Now finally you're able to distinguish. Okay, can you trust at all that this was said by your father? What your sister's relaying to you?
confirm nor deny it.
Huh?
Again, you can neither confirm nor deny it.
Okay, so are you like that, yani, in every day? And you're like when you hear
What?
things from people that you trust, you just like say, you know what? Yeah, even though everyone that's involved in the transmission of what you're telling me, they're credible, they're reliable. I'm not going to trust it because it doesn't offer me absolute certainty.
There's a okay. I will relatively trust it because this is what they're saying. However, I can't confirm with
No, no,
absolute
but why
certainty
are you trusting? Why are you trusting them?
because they're known to be trustworthy. However,
Okay,
However,
So this is exactly Habibi, what I mentioned earlier, and you said no, it doesn't offer.
oh,
That's
no,
when
no.
I had to jump in and
Here's,
tell you, you
here's the
cannot confuse. You
again.
cannot confuse. So let me just ask you this,
Okay,
Warren, can you establish that what your sister's telling you is traceable back to your father?
what?
Can you establish? Can you conclude that what your sister is telling you is traceable back to your father?
No, I. You can say you the guy. Okay, my sister can say whatever she wants. However, my dad can say I never said that.
Okay, so that's why I gave you a very simple example. Okay,
You said that
okay,
they
I'm
were
gonna
trust
give you. Okay,
in relative
okay.
trust them. Okay, well, you're giving a 5 minute example, not a 300 year example. That's your problem.
Yeah, another problem is because you cannot with people back then. That was the way of transmission at that time. Okay, people
No,
today are retarded. Okay, let's be honest. So the mind is as skilled as it was. And even ironically, to argue for the credibility of, people were skilled more so in the old, even in the first century. And old transmission, something that the Arabs admire. Okay, so that's not in question. This has been actually proven because there's something that is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari, and this is actually interesting considering I'm talking to a Christian. In Sahih al-Bukhari, there is a hadith about and the second coming. Okay, you have a Muslim cleric
whatever.
who was questioning this hadith. He says, "Well, this is 300 years. Why should I trust it?" Well, guess what? We discovered a manuscript from the
That's
10th
written.
century.
That's again written. That's not.
One second. Pay attention. Don't interrupt because you don't know what I'm about to tell you. The manuscript contains the exact same chain that is found in Bukhari.
Again,
Meaning, hold on. Meaning,
tradition,
do you understand that our textual witnesses includes the name of the people?
dude. Again,
Contrary to your textual witness,
every
your textual witness is nothing. It's just a guy in the 4th century saying, "Yeah, you know what? We got this handed down to us. We don't know who did it. We don't know if they're
but
credible
he had
to begin with."
yeah, well, hold on. Who said he had it handed down to him?
Well, how did he receive it? Tell me.
Maybe he just wanted to do it and implement it in our tradition, though.
Yeah,
Who
well,
cares?
that's where the discussion ends because you just conceded it doesn't trace back to the apostle. It's just possible that he just
Make
made it up.
sure my
That's where the discussion ends. Jazakallah for taking the discussion, and the
okay.
discussion is
So
over.
let's do source A, right? Source A, he says j'ai appris le français, right? So you have source A who's saying, okay,
Please look. I've been doing this for so
I
I can see
knew you
that it's
have you
possible that the author made it up in the 3rd century because he just wanted to
again,
read
again,
it.
you
Hold on a
okay,
second.
so this
You
isn't
have
written.
conceded.
The
You have
hadith
conceded because you yourself
lied to us.
realize if you start questioning your sister
No,
and what
have,
she's relating to
yeah,
you, but from your father, then
question her
you are
because
basically being a retard.
no,
What are you,
okay,
an
all you want.
academic?
So source A, as I've been saying, says she appris it, right? Now
Who
that's
source A? Who source A?
this one. Now, how do you know?
No, who source
So,
A? Who source A?
okay, can you stop? Okay, so then he says le français for the second one right here, and then carries it on to source B. But none of this is written. Je parle français is not written in source A or nor this one. So we can neither
Who's
confirm nor deny until further
source
evidence on
A? Who's source A? Who's source
anyone.
A? Who is it?
Source A.
Is it someone that's known to be trusted?
He does. Okay, let's grant that he was. Let's grant that he was. Source A says je parle français, and he wants it to be carried on.
Okay, and is he conveying this to someone who's also?
Let's say so. So how do you know that this? Okay, let's say. Hold on. I'll grant you right here that he's trustworthy.
Yep, granted that.
And but he changes the word actively to lift and then gives it onto source B.
Wait, so you're saying person B changed something?
This trustworthy person right here changed it from je français to le français.
Repeat again. You're cutting out. Repeat the whole thing again.
Okay, so source A says
Mm-hmm.
je sais, right, and so he carries it on to this guy, who then carries it on to
Okay.
this, and now these two
Yeah.
are both trustworthy. Okay, now
Mm-hmm.
this trustworthy man then changes it to le français, maybe from a mistranslation from this guy or whatever. But he says le français instead of je pense français, and then gives it on to source B. That's oral. This is oral tradition. By oral
Okay.
tradition, it's reliable. Now for the hadith, it's going to be source A says something to source B, which is reiterated, which then probably written down, right, to confirm this chain of narration, then is given on to source B.
Okay.
So how do you know that if it's only oral, if it's never written down ever until about
Okay.
300, like I said, how do you know this trustworthy man right here didn't just change it from je pense français to le français?
Okay. So first of all, this is not necessarily relevant to this. I don't know why. We could have used any English, considering most people here don't speak French.
I can
So
I, I
yeah,
can say right,
it's
French.
kind of zesty. But anyway, the point. Let me just address. So let me ask you this: do you agree? And if you agree, then that just shows that you wasted most of your time. Do you agree that having the names of people, the option to actually invest, to establish or conclude that something traceable to begin with?
You're cutting out.
If you have the names of the transmission, okay, and you know what kind of, we conclude that these people were trustworthy, okay, does it give you a level of certainty to conclude that this is something that can be traced back to, the original source?
No, unless it's written down. No.
No. Okay, so in other words, pay attention, everyone. In other words, saying unless it is written down, your
Yes.
brother, your mother, something. Your mother tells your sister, and your sister tells you, you will not believe your something also written down by your confirm. Yes, that's what you're saying.
Again, again, right?
Huh? You can't trust your sister.
No, I didn't contradict my saying. So you're getting a 5 minute example versus a 300-year example.
No, no,
So
Habibi. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes or if
it
it's.
does it does
That's,
matter.
by the way, that's not necessarily
Something that's
five
fresh
minutes
new
because
versus
I didn't
something that's
specify,
carried down.
Habibi. I didn't specify. I didn't specify any time period. You're just adding it to make it seem like the question is whether it is three people in the chain, whether it is
Again,
10. Can you trust? Can you trace at all to begin with?
not if it's oral. Like I said, even if you have the names of the person. So, like I said, I can say, let's say that you said, um, uh, the koala is green. Just the first thing, koala is green, and then you give it on to Pius. Pius then gives it on to.
No, I'm not going to give it. I'm not going to give it to Pius to begin with because he's a Catholic. Why
Oh
would I
my
give
God.
it to someone that I can't trust?
Okay, sure. Let's say you give it to Joester, and then
Okay,
Joester gives it onto Lemon, who then gives it onto Suspected. But then Lemon alters the
okay.
words to say the koala is it goes from the koala is green to now the cat is red, right?
No,
So
I
someone
would say I would. No, no.
word.
Let me just address, because now you be so skeptical. You yourself know that you can pretty damn well trust your sister and what she's relaying to you about, from your.
No,
But according to you, your father
like
has
my
to write it down. Let me just address. It is very improbable someone is gonna mess up from koala to it and red to green. Okay, maybe if it is something that is up here that we can overlook, right, in the transmission, not the fundamental aspects such as the animal in question and the color. So you are trying to be desperate here by using a very high example. What's a hyperbole example? How the hell do you mess up, right, from a koala to that's like me saying, imagine I tell Josta, by the way, Josta, Vern became a Muslim, okay, and now Josta says this to Ashraf, and then somehow jihadists mess up and say, no, Varen became a Muslim, but Diego became a Buddha. That's very improbable. Your very example that you're
Oh, that's an argument for
giving,
silence again. You're
hyperbole.
just giving it sense. Well, it's improbable. Okay, it's still possible. So you yourself confirms that you.
Everything is possible. Do you understand? We're not talking about the absolute certainty of
No,
this. We're
no,
not talking
giving,
about the possibility on
you're giving.
possibility. This is basic.
Gosh.
Do you
Okay.
understand? Do you understand?
No,
Traditions are
when it comes
preserved
to antiquity, no.
from
When it
centuries.
comes to antiquity, no, Elijah.
What?
No, you cannot confirm anything if it's only oral. It can be falsely attributed to someone. Like I said, the koala is green versus the cat is red. How do you know someone could just have messed up the words, or it could have progressively gotten worse? I don't take
Do you
pride.
have a reason?
What?
Do you have reasons as to why someone could have messed it up?
No, you can't confirm nor deny it. As I said,
No, you can confirm, but you cannot be certain. Absolute
that
certainty.
means
That's what.
okay,
This is where you're
Elijah.
confusing again.
Elijah. In other words, that's you can neither confirm nor deny. Correct?
Yes, no, no. If the people that are involved that are trustworthy, okay, they're credible, and therefore the transmission is credible too,
Argument
or
for silence.
authentic. Okay?
Who
Hold
cares?
on a second. It is no, no. It does matter because you
No, I don't think that matters at
matter.
all.
Of course, it matters. That's why you're not able to justify it. That's why you have to build a test. Now, let me just tell you this. You were saying if your father tells something to your mother, sister to your brother, and then your brother to you, somehow you cannot trust unless your father has written it down. What you're trying to tell people.
No, unless my father's
Amazing.
no, my father's the source and he's still alive. He's not dead.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but at this point,
on what
let's say
basis do you
my
trust the
dad's
Gospels?
what? Okay,
On what
gospel.
basis do you trust
Wait,
the
are we
contents in the
listening to
Gospel?
cross or we in the gospels? You've
Say it again.
diverged. Point. If it's either you're going to
No, no,
stick
no.
on this cross,
We're taking your example, right?
oral
We're taking
tradition,
your
or would you
example.
go with this written tradition now?
Hold
Which
on a
one?
second. We are taking your example. Okay, when Luke is decades and decades after the annunciation of Jesus to Mary, okay, my question is, how do you verify the information that
Irrelevant.
obviously that you received orally, which you received orally? How do you verify it?
You can't confirm anything orally, but I believe it was written.
Okay, where's Luke getting this from? You think he's just
He's getting it
loosely
from.
relating
He's getting it from
from what?
Matthew, Luke, Mary, all of these people, and that we can use this.
Okay,
We
okay, no
yeah,
problem.
the criterion of embarrassment.
Where does Luke get his information regarding the private conversation between Gabriel and Mary? We got when it came to
Like Mary using
pronunciation of Jesus.
most likely using the criterion of embarrassment. Most likely, most
That,
likely.
that doesn't give you any.
But like I said, you're diverging. Stick on the sign of the
No, I'm
cross.
not diverging. No, it's because you realize that when we apply your own very
No,
are thrown out of the room.
no,
Yes.
because you're getting a written tradition.
Okay. Okay. Where does Luke? Okay. How do we verify that the information orally credible?
Criterion of embarrassment. Were you not listening to me?
Okay. Is that sufficient?
That's not an assertion. The criterion of embarrassment just
Is
says
it
was
sufficient? Is it sufficient to establish that the information is authentic?
irrelevant to the topic. Completely different
No, no,
topic.
no. It's not relevant how you did. It's absolutely relevant. Now you know that
Habibi, it's not
according to
irrelevant.
your own standard.
It's not relevant. Sorry.
So. Okay, bro. You know, what? Please do yourself a favor. I recommend you study Arabic
Stick
at a
to
basic level.
Arabic. I don't want to
Okay.
learn that weird language.
You don't
So
even you don't even need to.
stick to the sign of the
That's how
cross.
much we offer.
Don't go to the
Okay.
Gospels.
So no, because no, you mentioned a standard, and we're now trusting the standard. Okay?
It's called yeah.
Luke,
You can use a
Luke was not a direct eyewitness. He's relating oral
I
transmission.
do
Okay.
not care. Trust me. I do not care about the
Okay,
Gospels right now. Stick to
if you don't care,
oral
if you don't care
tradition
about the
of the
fact
sign of
that
the
your
cross.
standard has been exposed. If you
No,
don't care
because
about the
it's
fact,
irrelevant. It's irrelevant
hold on. Why is it relevant?
because you're on the sign of the cross right now. You're on an oral tradition. Stick with
You
it.
understand, Baron, I hope you understand. Before you even joined the discussion, when I was talking to Marion Fisherman, you can replace the sign of the cross with anything that you believe is credible back to Jesus and the apostles. Obviously, when
Irrelevant,
you join late,
Elijah.
you wouldn't pick it up. Okay. If it's irrelevant, obviously because you realize that your standard exposes,
No,
the
it doesn't. Your
veracity.
book is a written tradition. It's not oral.
1 second. You're saying it's a written tradition. Is Luke
Luke,
direct eyewitness? Is he direct eyewitness?
that's eyewitness tradition, not written tradition. Neither is oral tradition.
What is it?
Written tradition.
It's written tradition. Where does Luke get his information?
Yeah, most likely the apostles or Q-source
No,
or whatever you
I'm
want.
not asking about most likely. I'm talking about definitively.
You can't make any definitive claims in history. None.
In this context, it's pretty obvious what I'm talking about.
You
So
can't make
the
definitive.
information that he's receiving, okay, for example, in the opening chapters, which are unique in many ways to Luke, where does he get the information?
Most likely the apostles and Mary. You can't make a
How do you
definitive
prove it? How do you prove it?
criterion of embarrassment, the critical historical method. Where else is he pulling it from? We can use multiple.
Where
We can
does he? Can you highlight
again.
where
This
you?
is a
Can you
diversion
highlight
from
where
the
you?
topic. Stay on the sign of the cross.
No. It doesn't matter. Okay, Habibi, the sign of the cross conceded now. You
Okay, so
understand? You conceded the
okay, great.
discussion when you
Okay,
said
great. Stay off.
not
Okay,
only that,
conversation's done for a lot.
you actually turned out to be a heretic because you said
No,
it doesn't have to be traced back to the apostles.
no, it doesn't. No, I agree that the sign of the cross is to the apostles, not the hand sign, because you can neither confirm nor deny it.
So,
Now, what
so,
dogma says I'm a heretic for saying that?
it's not from the apostolic deposit of faith.
It doesn't need to.
I'm not
It
asking if
really
it
doesn't.
has to be, or is it or if is it not?
You said I'm a heretic. You said
Yeah,
I'm a heretic.
you are. I mean,
According to
you
what dogma?
such
According to what
position.
dogma?
Okay, okay. Is it something from the deposit of apostolic faith? Yes or no?
No clue.
Okay, that's where the discussion ends because you just said no clue, which means you cannot address the question.
It's oral
This is the
tradition, Elijah. Again, you can either confirm or deny oral tradition unless it's.
saying oral tradition doesn't do anything. The
It does
fact
do
is
a
you
lot.
conceded. The fact is you conceded that you don't have a single clue about the topic. The fact is you conceded you
About
can't
what?
even demonstrate.
About
So why
what?
are you wasting everyone's time?
You wasted your
Why
own
are you
time.
wasting
I said you
everyone's time?
cannot demonstrate oral tradition. That doesn't make
You
sense.
say you don't know. You understand? You say you do not know. That means you cannot
You don't know
demonstrate.
any. You don't know anything in history. Nothing unless it's written.
I have, I had to teach you using your own family as an example
My
to
own
educate you on the basics.
is not in my own
I
family.
had
I
to
know
use your own.
personally
I
who
had
I
to
can
use your
ask.
father
I
to teach you a
can go ask
basic
my
example.
from 300 years ago, Elijah.
And by the way, it's funny. Every time when I give you like basic common examples that are common sense,
You
that's when
gave
you say it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I don't care.
because
Why?
you
Why
give
do you do this?
examples.
Because
You
hold on,
give
hold on.
examples that are false
The only
equivalent.
reason, no. When I give you common sense, okay, you always resort to saying, I don't care, doesn't matter, irrelevant. It's very simple. You do this because you know
Yes,
that
because the
example.
examples you gave, Elijah, are all either false equivalency or I can go ask the person who said it myself. I can't go ask my grandpa from 300
Can
years
you
ago
trust
when
what your
he
sister is
did not.
relaying to you from your father? Can you trust what your sister is relaying to you from your father?
Can I trust? No,
Yeah.
he could
No?
he could be lying.
Okay. So that means you've never taken any as acceptable from your family members.
If it's something I can't myself relate to or have multiple stations to at the same time, then no.
Okay, so yeah, well then you have no reason to pretty much basically everything.
What? No. Again.
Yeah,
I
yeah. How do you, according to you, according? Okay. 1 second. Let's say your father, you know, let's say your father told something to your, and she remembers it well. Okay, because she's known to be credible and trustworthy. Tells you this, fucking stuff that your father told her. Do you trust what she's telling you? Do you
not with
accept?
not with full
Are you gonna
certainty.
say no? I don't. Are you gonna tell her that you don't trust her? What she said?
Not with not with full certainty, unless it's
I
recorded or
never claimed, Habibi. Don't. This is exactly the point. Because you
full.
assume that I'm asking about absolute
If,
certainty. Where did I ask about absolute certainty?
but
Nowhere.
again,
So
well,
will you tell your sister that I don't accept what you're saying?
oh my gosh, no, because I don't make a definitive claim on it. I don't say Dad did absolutely say this. Be lying.
Okay. Well, again, why are you being desperate? I never say it with absolute certainty. You're adding this because you know the fact that you have to accept the base information,
I don't
and
need to
because
accept.
you're very
I don't need to
okay.
accept it.
Are you gonna tell your sister that she's lying?
Am I gonna no? Because I can't make a definitive claim on it. As I said, I can neither
Okay,
neither confirm.
what will you say to your sister? What will you say to your sister?
What? I'll say
What will
okay,
you say to your sister that relates to
okay,
you?
cool,
What
okay,
does the
cool.
okay signify? Is it an acceptance of what she's conveying to you, or is it I don't care? And
And I
why I
don't.
don't care?
Most likely, I don't care
Why I don't care?
because I can neither confirm nor deny it. And if it doesn't pique my interest or have any relation to me, I really don't care.
Okay, piece of information, the Habibi, the truthfulness and information I care about.
What?
I care about. There are many things I don't.
Plus, yeah, I can trust my sister, but my sister will make up a lie. But it's more like using a
Okay,
certain,
so you don't trust
using,
anyone
I'm
can give you absolute certainty.
using a certain criterion while my sister's still alive, I can probably negate that maybe it's more likely that it happened, and maybe I can trust based on that it's more likely
Okay,
that it
can you trust? Can you trust at all?
happened.
If you
Can
say
I?
yes, then the discussion is over and you waste your time. Can you trust your sister at all? Like, yeah, and you regarding this piece of
Uh,
information she's relaying to you.
I, if I was there, or if multiple people were there, sure. If not, if it was them all alone or whatever, then I couldn't make a definitive claim on it.
Again, how many times do I have to tell you? It's not about absolute certainty being definite. Can you trust at all?
More than
That's
likely,
the problem.
more than likely, sure. But if
Okay,
someone 300 years, okay,
okay,
if it's
okay.
someone 3 year, okay, hold on. If it's someone 300 years in the future saying that my dad said something, how do I know that?
Say it again.
Yeah. So let's say it's late. Let's say my someone says that my dad said something 300 years ago. Let's say that
Mm-hmm.
in the to let's say my great grand my great great grandchildren or whatever. How do I how is that kid supposed to confirm that that's what my dad said
If you belong to
without
a community,
some silence
it's
that they're
very simple. It's very simple. If you're known to belong to a community that we're having a transmission, okay,
wait, hold
you
on.
know every single individual involved, okay, you can establish that they were, and you
Elijah,
have, and it's more probable that they say this than not, okay.
Elijah, hold on. Didn't you earlier specifically say that a religious tradition versus a family tradition completely different, or so, not even family tradition, another tradition is completely distinct. Okay, so that's what you said. So again, stick with this religious tradition that you're giving.
Maybe
Now,
with religious, it's even more certain. The only problem for you is you can't even name the people who. It's a problem.
I don't need to. It's not my burden.
Yeah, of course. That's like okay. If it doesn't need to, then
Again, oral tradition.
let me give you a simple analogy. Let's say your sister, and she says, my father, your father told me about this. I don't know, like 5 decades ago. Would you rather trust that or a random man coming up to you saying, "Hey, I had some sort of connection with your father, and I heard, which one would you prefer as more credible?
Would you say?
Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. I
Give
don't know
an
how
example.
retarded you gotta be to say that you cannot, that you don't need to know who's transmitting. So let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. Yeah. By the way, wallahi, just trying to decried someone, yeah, and he doesn't. So let me make it simple for you, Baron. You have two examples. Example A: your sister is telling you something that your dad told her 5 decades ago. And the second example is a man, random man, you don't know who it is, okay, is saying that I heard from your dad. Okay. Which one will you trust more than the other?
I'll probably trust my sister more
Okay. Now, what's the reason as to why you would rather trust the
because using certain criterions from the event, it could be established that she's more or likely being honest.
uh, the fact that the individual who's in the second example unknown, does that have any effect? Does it play any role?
Sorry, what?
In the second example, when in the second example, the fact that the individual telling or making the fact that it's unknown, does it play any role as to why you rather prefer the example of your sister?
The fact that it's unknown.
The fact that
Uh,
it's unknown to you, yes.
I mean that's a random guy. I mean, sure.
Okay, but you were saying it. Um, you were saying that it won't matter unknown or no individual.
Let's say, okay, use this example. Let's say that this unknown man is a friend of my sibling. I
And
mean,
what man?
let's say that this is like a friend of us, like a friend of a sister. Sure. I mean, sure.
Just 1 second before we continue. Uh, Azza, you can leave. You can do your little hand sport if you want. If this, no one invited you, to, I don't know what complaint. Anyway, continue.
What? I'm confused. Okay.
Continue.
Okay. So it could be probable that he is getting it from one of my siblings. Let's say that he's pulling it from my brother. I mean, sure, I can't make a definitive claim on that, but for my sister's, I witnessed it, and it's more likely that she didn't change it. And I'm saying she couldn't have, but it's more likely. So I may trust it if it's in line with what my father would say. It's
What I'm telling you.
uh what?
That's that's what I'm. No, Pius. I'm not mad. It's kind of like I'm disappointed that grown people are complaining when they simply just leave. It's more about that. Um, but yeah, so that's what I've been trying to tell you about. When it comes to the establishment of single chains, we're never saying that it offers you absolute certainty or it's definitive. It gives you at least the account to trace it back to a certain level of degree, in contrast to an example where you don't even know who's transmitting the information. In that case, you can't even trace to begin with. Okay,
No, but
so
I can't.
so you've been confusing. It doesn't. We're not claiming. If you don't know that, had report single chains in Islam are not used for
Okay.
because they
The
don't offer absolute certainty.
the issue is my sibling can also be lying about that, so I can't make a definitive claim on it because it's completely oral. It's not written. That's my problem.
What did I just say? What did I just say?
You
It's
said
not
you can
about
trust.
absolute certainty.
Yeah, you're
I've
about
been
it's.
telling you.
You're talking about its likelihood. I know, but just
Yeah,
because it's likely doesn't mean it happened.
yeah. It's more probable than the random. Now, if we can establish, now we can investigate add-ons, and what are additional to see if the statement of your sister is more likely true than false. Okay. So it's a step-by-step process. But alhamdulillah, you agree now that when we know the names and we know something about these individuals in the chains, we can at least establish a certain of degree
It's not about the
compared to an example.
it, yeah, the issue is it's not about the person. It just means that I'm more comfortable and can trust the words a little bit more, right? However,
Yeah,
my
you
yeah,
can rephrase as you want, but I'm quite
okay,
it's the
sure, sure.
fact that it gives you more certainty or more probability in terms of trusting it in contrast to an example where you don't even know who the heck is telling you the information. Do you understand? That's the point. That's why I was suggesting you. I can send you the source, right? It's basic, it's
Hey,
English translation.
okay, sure. I can say that a friend is more trustworthy than the sibling in some cases, even. This random man or whatever who's getting it from my sibling could be more trustworthy than my siblings in some cases because this unknown man could be reiterating something that I personally I witnessed, or I could go ask who he's getting this from, ask them myself, and then apply it. Because like if it's someone unknown, I'm gonna apply some like sketch like method. If is it something my father seems like it would like he would say, but again, my sibling could be very well lying about this, right? So I can't be certain. You can't be certain about anything in history, and you can certainly be even less as certain if it's a complete oral tradition that can't be exclusively demonstrated.
Bro, why are you still stuck on the absolute certainty or the possibility? Do you understand that the very idea that the factor is a single chain assumes and opens the possibility of lying or, um, you know, things not being transmitted accurately? We are
Good
here discussing the possibility to trace to begin with. Okay. So,
likelihood
and I want to remind you back the example that you gave with the,
with the what?
you can at least trust. I don't know if it was the example. Oh, let's say the example of koala, eye color. I don't know what it was. Was that the one? Koala and the eye color.
Yes, koala. The koala is green.
Okay.
The
At
is red.
least you know that it's talking about an animal. At least you know it's talking about something with
So likewise with the hand.
regarding the.
Likewise with the hand
Say it
sign.
again.
I yeah. Likewise with the cross, I can know that it's referring to a cross in healing.
We're not saying that it was originally something else. It's not the contention. The contention is
Can it be demonstrated?
can we trace it back at all at the most basic level of certainty to the apostles themselves? That's the only thing required.
Okay.
Nothing more or less.
Yeah, for the apostles, again, I think I gave a demonstration here that it could be very well just some case of developmental doctrine where it appears over time. But generally speaking, I do agree that the apostles taught that the cross redeems people.
You can believe. I don't think you were here. You were
What?
teaching that the cross heals. I don't know, whatever you want to add. Okay. My question was the movement, yeah, I need the sign itself, the way you do it.
You mean the
What
hand?
is that something traceable? That
You,
was
you,
in question,
you mean the
not
hand?
the spiritual aspect and the other theological,
The hand sign?
esoteric. What?
Do you mean the hand sign of the cross?
Yeah, when you're doing the sign of the cross, the
Yeah,
movements.
the hand sign is specifically
Yeah.
oral. It's never been written and it's never been this change of narration or whatever.
Anyway, this has been
Okay.
at least there is some agreement that we came upon, which I don't think was disputed to be probably misunderstood. It was never about definitive, case of establishing the authenticity. So more about what gives you the like to trust one over the other. And you agree that the one that offers you the names and something about
The
these
one that
individuals.
The one that gives the name, right, and it is also written, is more likely to be authentic than three. Okay. I feel like it would be better if it was written by my dad himself, though.
Yeah, Habibi, it's just that back then things people, like you got in your printed, it's not how it works.
Yeah,
People,
yeah,
Arabs specifically, were trained and skilled in oral transmission.
I I
Why you can
agree.
find examples out. I'm going to give you an example. You have
I
something mentioned in Bukhari with a long chain, and we discovered that this chain is accurate in the
I
sense that the first three narrators are found in a discovered manuscript. Highlight that textual witnesses is just add on. It's not even a requirement.
okay. I know how it went about back then, where it was specifically oral because not the literacy rate at the time, which I would actually like say in Judea it was pretty high, but um, regardless, uh, I can grant you this proposition, right, that it's not how it worked back then. Good. Okay, but the issue is, even according to most historians, or even I feel like this could be inducted itself, it would be better for a document that was rather written by my father as opposed to someone who orally carried it. I feel like that's written tradition. Written tradition is a lot
Yeah,
better.
of course. No one is obviously. Do you think a Muslim, you know, like the the uh, the manuscripts? Many of the manuscripts were transmitted down copy from a copy. Okay, um, and usually people would mention people would link or mention at the beginning, part of the introduction, who's copying from who and so on. And you will notice that even then there could be a mistake, right? That's why you have textual corruption. Okay, when the next in line corrupts something that he doesn't find compatible with his own system. Okay, that was mentioned in the copy that he himself is copying. So, so textual
Yeah,
documentation itself does not offer you any absolute certainty. So that's why we take into account. If you want, I'm going to send you a basic introduction to science of and you don't need to be a to read this to make use of it. I think it will help you understand why Muslims take this approach. And someone asked me, "What about Alexander the Great?" You don't have anything about it.
yeah, we do.
That's cool. I don't know. That's what he told me. I never looked into it. So my response was simple. Okay, whatever he's telling me, I took it for granted. If the latest thing we have about Alexander the Great is, I don't know, 200-300 years out of time, so what? Be it. It doesn't affect my faith. You
Okay, but
understand?
that I sure
It doesn't change anything.
okay, but again, this is pre-antiquity and way after antiquity versus purely
Yeah,
in.
yes, that's my position. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Whatever you have from that cannot be,
It can only be
and even if you were
confirmed,
to deny it,
right? But for
say
something like
again.
yeah, but for something like Alexander the Great, we have rock inscriptions that say his name explicitly while he's
Yeah, yeah,
alive.
yeah. If you have, of course, you have additional proofs, whether it's questions, whether it's whatever the hell. Okay, that's fine. It gives you at least some sort of um, it gives you the account to at least establish some sort of authenticity. Okay, the possibility to begin with.
Yeah, that's the point with oral.
That's all it does.
You gave the tradition with text with written tradition. Let's say an ancient document just is altered to fit someone else's narrative. Yeah, that's the point. But that's a lot easier to do with oral tradition. That's why the most critical of historians view any oral tradition in antiquity with some certainty. Not some sort of certainty, some sort of skepticism.
Hang on a sec. Well, I've never seen more dick writing than in the side chat today.
Oh. What?
Amazing.
Elijah, I'm back from when you banned me.
These Christians are experts. Some of these Christians are
I'm back, Elijah.
That's definitely, audit for a scene.
Elijah, why did you ban me for 2 days?
I banned you for 2 days.
Yes, you banned me for 2 days.
What's your name?
Zaha.
I banned you because you were being.
I'll be right back.
I did not hear
You
you.
don't welcome harassment unless it's a